Welcome to Pioneer FX. Hope you guys are all doing well. Today is the 15th. Just looking at the chart, well, looking at the technicals, to be honest, not much has changed apart from the interest rate hike, which we had today with the FOMC meeting, from 1% to 1.75, the biggest rate hike since 1994. Recession is on the loom for the dollar. Fundamentally speaking, we are looking for shorts for the dollar. It has been spiking up and down, especially today. We'll look into the charts shortly. EURAUD, we're looking at these trades this week. EURAUD is playing out pretty well as EURNZD. Technically speaking, yesterday it was looking extremely bullish. However, that has changed. That has changed from bullish to bearish. So we could potentially jump into that one, EURAUD as EURNZD. For those who did catch it at those highs with those extreme standard deviation levels, you should be sitting just over 200 pips in profit. AUDUSD, NZDUSD, we're going to look into that shortly, as well as GJ and GU for this upcoming week. Most trades are in profit, other than AU as well as NU. GJ has been pushing down since the start of this week. We could potentially get it at a discounted rate together with GU. We're going to look into that shortly. Volatility, I was expecting volatility to push down. However, since the start of this week, it started to push up. So from these highs, we could potentially get onto the bearish train for the volatility. Let's jump into the charts now. Let me just share my screen. So to start off with, just looking at gold over here, we were looking for longs, okay? We were looking for long-term longs. However, funnily enough, gold just rejected from our current bank level for this upcoming week. So you can see here, push down, push back up, came back, retested it somehow, and starting to push right up from it. So we could potentially jump into a long trade here. We're going to look into this shortly. You can see here this channel has been broken here. So there's a lot of traders looking left, and they can potentially see that it is a downtrend. Let me just clear the screen so that we can look at this a better picture. You can see here from the daily time frame, it's just been pushing down for the past two days. Today it's just started to push back up again. Looking at this from a daily perspective, we've got support sitting right there. We've got resistance sitting right up there. So you can see here, it's just been toing and froing between 1805 and 1875. Let's have a look at the standard deviation. For the daily, it's sitting at -1 on the daily. So that's telling us already it's very cheap. Looking at it from the 4-hourly perspective, it's sitting at -2 on the standard deviation. Plenty of traders are looking into this right now. You can see there's a lot of choppy price action over here. Sideways movement, to be fair. You can see it was a massive sort of, you can say that this is a consolidated range here. And this consolidated range has been broken out. You can see here now it's come for the retest. So a lot of traders are looking at this and technically selling from these highs, because there's an intermediate sort of support resistance actually sitting right here. So this will be a good area for us to potentially gauge, for us to potentially go long from these lows here. Made 2 double bottoms here. It could potentially push up from here. Since the dollar is weak, we could potentially get onto this one right now. So that's that, looking at it from a 4-hourly perspective. Let me just stick on the MACD. You can see here it's extremely bearish here. So most traders are definitely looking at this and selling off. It made that sort of impulsive move down, come up for the retest, and potentially we could also stick a trend line like this. So the moment we get a breakout of this trend line, then potentially we can start to look for longs. However, technically speaking, it looks extremely bearish. -2 on the standard deviation. This one looks like a perfect trade at this moment in time. So that's the last sort of impulsive wave. I'm just trying to see where I could potentially place our stop loss. Just shy below 1796. Just shy below that would be ideal to place your stops, psychological stops, that is, because we're looking to the ride this one long term, right? So you could potentially add some longs from these highs here at the moment. Yeah, it's looking good. You can see here it pushed down, came back up, hit the 50, hit the 88.6. Indecisive at this moment in time, but where I'm going to look to get in is if price pushes right down towards our 113. This is a key area for me personally to look for entries from these lows, because I know there's going to be a lot of stop losses yet to be triggered from these lows here first before we ride on. Could potentially add on now from this area, and then potentially add on even further as price pushes lower. Let's just see what we're like in terms of institutions. Let's see what we're like here, because gold has been really funny this year, actually, up and down, sideways movement, a lot of sideways movement here. Okay, so you can see now the reason why gold was selling off, because commercials have been giving up their contracts, hence the reason why we had that massive sell-off. Large speculators are overall short, so they are on the right side of the market, but not for too long, because okay, now it's starting to make sense. Because retail traders, look at retail traders, they're 70% long from last week. They were 70% long, so they've most definitely been wiped out. Saw that massive push down here, so they must have been long from these areas here. Well, let's have a look at this. For when were they long? They've been long for quite some time. It doesn't really show it on this. Let's have a look at it on the COP base. I'm just interested to know where they were long from. They weren't long. You can see here, retail traders have been on the short side. You see that? Overall, yes, it's above zero, but they've been giving up their contracts since they're seeing this move, and since they've seen this move over here, so they're definitely short. It's just the fact that also hedgers gave up their contracts. We started to see it drastically fall. But looking at it from a fundamental perspective now, I would say right now is a good time to potentially look for longs for potential long-term, I mean, long-term above 2,000, you know, for gold. So this could be a good investment to look at. Let's have a look at volatility. You can see here volatility pushed up massive gap here since this upcoming week, actually. So since the start of this week, actually, massive gap, and you're starting to see it push down. However, I'm still interested to look for longs from these lows over here. We could eminently, let me get rid of these arrows, just looking at this right now. Again, it's gauging traders to look left, and they can see clearly resistance here. So my long-term bias is 50. It could push lower. I'm interested from around 16.87 or around these areas over here to look for volatility to push up, but it could eminently push up from these highs as well. So just be careful there in terms of holding on to trades. If it does push down, we could potentially see gold up. So that's that one in terms of gold. Let's have a look at Euro AUD. This was interesting. Technically speaking, I did mention this last week as well on Sunday. We could have that push up, which we did get. Massive bull run here. A lot of traders must have looked left, broken out of that channel, and lo and behold, today, all the way back down again. So back into the channel for those who did catch it from these highs, around 253 pips in. EURNZD, similar to EURNZD, is playing out perfectly as discussed. For those who did manage to grab it from these spikes up here, well done. GJ, we're looking to ride this one up. This one clearly now you can see most traders are selling this. They're looking left. On the 4 hourly, you can see that massive resistance there. This trend line here has been broken, so it's just a matter of time now when they will start to engage it up. Looking at this from a standard deviation perspective, let's have a look at this from a standard deviation perspective. Standard deviation. Sitting at 0 standard deviation on the 4 hourly and +1 on the daily. So it could push down lower. I'm interested with it. The moment it comes down to these areas, 161.841 or 160, around 160 area would be ideal to look for longs. But at this moment in time, you can see here, technically speaking, it has broken key levels. So we could potentially see it push down further. And you can see here momentums to the downside for GJ. So we could see it push down even further before it pushing higher. So these are the only few trades that we were looking at this week. GJ, not well, I've started to add longs from these lows here. Euro AUD pushing down nicely. EURNZD as expected. Gold has been behaving very funny. Managed to catch it from these lows here, but expecting for it to push down potentially towards 1793, around this area over here, to potentially add longs. So yeah, let's have a look at what has actually been going on in regards to the FOMC. Forex Live. So you can see here for America, they've raised 75 basis points. Hike rates by 75 basis points. FOMC dot plot and central tendencies from June 2022. Median rate at 3.4 at the end of 2022. So that's crazy. Too high. Inflation's too high. They're willing to bring it down. They think by raising the interest rates significantly is going to lower inflation. However, let's just have a look at the dynamic yield curve. So you can see here now, it says here the dynamic yield curve is pretty flat. So the more they raise the interest rates, the flatter this yield curve will become. And if they raise it up to, they suggested, what did they suggest? 3.4% by the end of this year. If they raise it up here, it's game over for the dollar. If they raise it up here, around 3%, 3.4 say, that is flat. And that is the start of the recession. So we need to jump onto gold. We need to jump onto safe havens long term. So we're looking at this from a long-term perspective, and FOMC wiped it, but right the way down. So for those who are grabbing it from these lows, we could potentially see a massive bull run in the future. So just be careful. Just be careful. The markets are extremely volatile. Yeah, I'm just looking more so for focusing on gold now than ever before. So yeah, this could potentially be the trade of the year, but we shall see. Any questions before I finish up? Any questions? So just to highlight for today, all eyes on the dollar. Looking for a massive sell-off. Gold, all eyes on gold. We're looking for that bullish run. Volatility has pitched up, but I'm expecting for it to pitch back down again. EURAUD, EURNZD doing well. Let's have a look at AUDUSD and NZDUSD. AUDUSD, here you are. So you can see here from these lows now, played out perfectly, huh? Came right the way down and pushed right up. So from these levels around 86 pips, I managed to long it from these areas here as well as down here. Long term, we're looking for longs. GU, same scenario with GU as well. Came down to this resistance area, and now look at it pushing right back up from the FOMC meeting. So looking great. Let's have a look at so we looked at AUNZD. GJ, we looked at it as well as GU. What's happening with my screen? AUDUSD here. So you can see here, AUDUSD is playing out perfectly from our Sunday meeting webinar last week. So yeah, discounted rates as expected. Standard deviation, let's have a look at standard deviation. It's that standard deviation -2 from here. Look at that, playing perfect. It's just amazing to see. Right, so we'll catch up on Sunday. Yeah, and if you've got any questions, feel free to type in the chat through Telegram, and I'll get back to you. Thanks very much once again, and see you on Sunday. Thank you.